In this episode of Motive Garage, it's time for an update on Project No Secrets, our R33 GT-R. So many of you have been hammering us with questions of when you're going to see the next update on the R33 GT-R. And I basically keep saying is, well, when we're ready. Now, the problem with this R33 GT-R build is, well, there's a lot of very tedious work, from the chassis repair done at Grim Performance, and now the fiberglass repair being done by Concept Garage. These are not jobs you can give to anyone to smash out really quickly. They are big jobs that need to be done well, and we are not a full-time YouTube channel. We don't have enough subscribers or enough sponsors to hire staff to work on our cars full-time. If I could hire someone full-time to work on that car, I would, but I can't. So I have to take it to people that are not only good at what they do, but are able to actually fit that job in. So we got the car to Concept Garage a couple of months ago, and basically Danny's given me a call and said, come check it out. I've done the structural repair work. So we're at that point now where after this, it's high fill and paint. So we're gonna head out to Concept Garage now and get a bit of an update on our R33 GT-R. Let's go.
Yeah, pretty much where the car's at right now is all the structural repairs have been done in the fiberglass. We haven't concentrated on anything too aesthetic in terms of like fine finishes and line work. It was pretty much just get all the fiberglass structurally strong, mount it to the car and doing what it needs to do. The next stage from here now will be pretty much to work on the aesthetics, fine line, all the body lines, all the fine filler work in the nicky and all that sort of stuff will happen next from here. The problem with fiberglass repairs on old parts like this that are damaged and cracked, has hairlines running everywhere, you don't really know what you're dealing with till you sort of sand it back down and expose everything. The bonnet on the outside looks like it's sweet. The underside, which you'll see shortly, had extensive amount of repairs. Like by rights, most of this stuff was throwaway stuff. The fact that you can't get the stuff and you wanted to keep this particular style bonnet and all the rest of it meant that we had to find solutions to repair it. So what you end up with then is just loads of sanding, loads of work that you really don't want to do to get access to repair things that need to be repaired. And then pretty much you're left with the challenge that you get your repairs to where your repairs are, you're left with the challenge then of just aesthetically making it look like you never touched it. The bonnet has the bulk of our work. There's probably about 50 hours gone into the bonnet, to be honest, between figuring out the mounts and doing everything else. Majority of the work was on the underside of the bonnet. A lot of frames were cracked. This is why when the bonnet came up and slapped the roof, it's actually flexed all the way back and it's pretty much split from halfway, which you can see from the previous damage, like in the earlier footage. Bulk of the work happened there. Getting the mounts right, we also then decided that we'll do some future proofing. So we put a core in where the mounting tabs are so that this can be slammed and it won't affect any of the other, like it won't fracture out and do any more damage. A lot of the framework in the bonnet we actually cut out and put some foam cores to replace the framework so there's a bit more strength and rigidity, especially in the sections where it had been torn and collapsed. The two ends of the bonnets were completely missing, the top corners and stuff like that. So we basically remade those whole sections but blended them all in with pretty much just using fiberglass. So you'll see that there's minimal work. All the filler work that's going to happen from here is all just a sacrificial top surface layer, just a skim, just to get your nice edges and do the little pitting and stuff like that. We always try to leave the fiberglass filler work to the minimal. Fiberglass flexes and carries on, so as much as we can we try to use just straight glass and sand back out of that. So build up glass higher, mill back down, mill the fiberglass back down, then you can just put a small sacrificial layer over the top just for aesthetics, just in case it does ever flex. It's to reduce cracking in future, sink back, all that sort of stuff in the paintwork, so it's just always better. For us, it's always just a challenge to sort of just use fiberglass. You don't have the option of paint stripping with fiberglass, so to pretty much expose what they've built on. We also noticed that once we sanded through that the bonnet had been repaired a few other times, so you kind of sanding back to where you sort of got started, you're exposing all the shit that's in there and then fix the shit that was already fixed and then sort out the new shit. This louver style bonnet you can't buy no more, and it's something that, you know, Motive really wants to keep true to this project. So it's simply, the simple reason is you just can't get it and Hawkins wants it. That's the real answer. I would have told him to bin it personally. But see, now the bumper's actually hanging on mounted off the factory mounts, which weren't there before. all the tabs were broken, there was no mounting edges. Other than that, the repairs that we did on the front were just structural repairs, cracks in the lower lip, and then a lot of it was deleting the tow hook cutouts and stuff like that, just so basically you got a clean canvas and you can start again and punch in whatever holes you want. Standard sort of fitment issues that you get with a lot of aftermarket stuff where the gaps don't line to the body, and it's a mix of both. It's not just like, oh, it's a shitty part. It not necessarily doesn't mean that. The part's been made and it's old, but car could be off, previous paint and stuff like that, so none of the mating areas usually mount up flush to each other, so it was just more tedious stuff in just getting the gaps right and just the same thing, structurally mounting everything and getting it all good. The rear spats, there aren't many available for aftermarket replacements. We're actually working on some that'll be in production hopefully by the end of the year, but with these ones we had to pretty much, it's an outer carcass and we pretty much made everything else mount to the bottom. Like, it's the standard sort of stuff you get with like overseas aftermarket Chinese sort of parts that you have to use these days. This is the problem that we're having with all of our GT-R stuff, whether it's in our interior retrims or the exterior stuff. The replacement for used OEM is so high, so then, you know, in a typical scenario where it's not viable to repair something, well, I would just say, hey man, go buy another one. The option of buying the other one's so far between, so we're sort of stuck doing some of the tasks that need to happen, because even from our point of view, like, we can't justify telling someone to go buy something that, you know, might cost, you know, argument's sake, 10 hours in repair versus, you know, spending $3,500 for a replacement part. It's the stuff that you'd never notice when you see a car painted. You know, it's assumed that it's normal because it's painted and it's finished, but when you're working, again, cars of this age, parts of this age, repairs, like, it's pretty much, it's a 20-year, 30-year refurb on some of this stuff, you know. So it's the in-between bits that give you that final finish that no one ever gets to really see, to be honest. To do a shell up resto sort of thing, it's not uncommon to see 1,000 hours go in. Between all the hands that will work on the car, you know, the next stage of this will go to doing all the fine nicky work, which is all just skim, lines and all that, and we'll get the car in high fill. But also this car is going to get painted inside and out, so the cage got to come out. Because it is a bolt-in cage, we have the luxury of taking the cage out of this car, so the cage will come out, all the other bits will come out, we'll go through, we'll suss out everything else that needs to be stripped out to get ready for the paint process while the outside's in high fill. Pretty much a car like this will have to sit in high fill for a good 4 weeks, at least 4 to 6 weeks, and probably get high filled a second time just for the composite repairs. And you've got too many different substrates. You've still got some steel parts on the car, still some fiberglass parts on the car. So the high fill is pretty much going to seal off all the repairs and seal off everything, get the car to sort of a ground stage, let the car expand and contract and make all its movements in that stage, so that then you can block it down, high fill it again, and you have a nice flat finish for paint. So that's where people don't see where the stacks of hours can come into a car. The repairs that we've done to the car are very specific to what Andrew and Motive want to achieve out of the car. You know, aesthetically, for Andrew, he's wanted this top secret car with this top secret styling. That was always his vision, and that's pretty much what governed the way we did what we did with this car. As I said, like, the bonnet would have been a throwaway bonnet. The bar would have been 10 times easier to just launch and get another GT-R bar. You know, in terms of dollars and cents, by the time you actually factor it in and replace it, you could have done another avenue and gotten a totally different look. Could you have achieved the same look? No. So it was just very subjective to what the client really wanted, and that's pretty much what we do. We just deliver the client's vision, really. I'm glad in the sense of it's different. So it's very hard to start now getting versatility and variety, where something like this, like, it's going to stand out and it's going to be unique. If it's everyone's cup of tea, it's never everyone's cup of tea. Like, no matter any one of our clients that steps out, whether they do an outrageous color with the interior or not, or the exterior, you're never going to please anyone. So the intent is deliver for the client.